Hey, welcome to another episode of the Typewriter video series. This is Joe Van Cleve. Today I want to talk about something that I call weird typing, so stay tuned. Some of you might remember that in the last couple of weeks I acquired a new typewriter to my collection. It's a Corona Standard, and it's a beautiful, immaculate condition, classic looking black typewriter. And I discovered with that typewriter that I was able to touch type with a great ease on that typewriter at a good speed, which for me is a new thing because for some reason a lot of manual typewriters for my hands just aren't conducive to good touch typing technique. Because of this ease of being able to touch type rapidly on the new Corona Standard, in the last week or so I've written a lot of ad hoc pieces just for my own private consumption, potential blog articles or video articles, kind of brainstorming, kind of rough draft writing. And I really enjoyed it, especially sitting late at night out in my patio room, typing away and being able to type at a good speed. That was really satisfactory and enjoyable. I've brainstormed some other ideas because of these typing sessions that might end up being either blog articles or new videos. But what I noticed is because I was enjoying the touch typing so much on that machine, I wanted to give it a try on one of my other machines, the Hermes 3000 so-called Naked Writer typewriter. So yesterday I took the Naked Writer out of the box onto the workbench and started testing it, and I began to notice some issues with it that maybe were there all along. I just kind of ignored them, but it led me down the road of doing quite a bit of servicing on that machine yesterday. But in the process of testing it, okay, that's what this video is about. In the process of testing it, I noticed this thing about the way my hands work for typing. Okay, so because I was working with this Hermes typewriter and trying to figure out why it was that sometimes it works fine, sometimes it didn't, I started noticing things, and I've noticed this for a while. It's about how your hands work with typewriters. So I use this term cybernetic, and what I mean by cybernetic is the linkages of the type bar mechanism in the typewriter through the keys work with the tendons, bones, ligaments, muscles of your fingers when you're typing, and it all creates one continuous complex mechanical system that's linked together. And it's part human and part machine, so it truly is cybernetic, manual typing is. But most people who've manually typed know this, that if you're using two-fingered typing, one index finger on each hand, you can generally get a really good quality imprint because you're being very forceful and a lot of velocity. You're using the strongest finger of each hand. And for people like me who aren't as experienced with touch typing on manual typewriters, I'm predominantly right-handed, and so my left hand is my minor hand, not as strong. And so I notice I make more errors and mistakes, not just typographical with my left hand, but I don't apply enough velocity to the keys with my left hand, and I consequently induce mechanical problems in these machines that otherwise work but are kind of marginal. It's like I've mentioned this before in other videos or my blog articles, but the letter A is a real weakness because it's the third most frequently used letter in the English language, and it's typed on the weakest letter of the minor hand. So those combinations together means I always mishit the letter A, for instance. So as I was working on this machine yesterday, and I was thinking about how I have less mechanical problems when I'm using two-finger typing, and when I'm touch typing I have less issues with my right hand than my left. That got me thinking and testing things, and this is what I come up with. You don't necessarily need to conform to some typing instruction class method of typing. It's whatever works for you. As I said just a while ago, it's a cybernetic system. The peculiarities of your individual hands are part of that system, and you have to figure out what makes the cybernetic system work for you. For me, what I discovered yesterday was this. I discovered that I can, on my left hand, if I tuck all my fingers in and use just my index finger, the strongest finger of my left hand, and basically peck on the left side of the keyboard, while my right hand does classic touch typing, and the right hand has the thumb for the space bar. I discovered that I can, I can do this combination, as he does the carriage return, of pecking with the left hand while touch typing with the right. And it works. It was a strange experience when I first tried this yesterday, because I actually initially was trying it the opposite way, touch tapping on my left and pecking with my right index finger, and I noticed it felt different, but it wasn't working for me. When I switched it over to the way I'm doing it now, I realized, hey, this makes sense. It's my weak hand. I'm using one strong finger, and the dominant hand can adequately touch type with these machines. Now, I tried this technique on both the Hermes 3000 and the Corona Standard, and I get the same wonderful experience with it, that I'm typing almost at the same speed of full touch typing, and yet I'm not inducing typographical errors, and more importantly, I'm not inducing mechanical errors caused by mishitting the keys, hitting them with inadequate force or velocity or timing. And because I kind of eliminated those mishit problems induced by my weak left hand. It's an interesting technique. So I believe the first 9 most common letters in English language, if I recall, is like E-T-A-O-N-I-R-S-H. And so of those 9, T-A-E-S, so 4 of the 9 letters are on the left side, and the other 5 are on the right side. So it's fairly well balanced as far as the most common letters in the English language. Yeah, it's a real interesting technique, and it works. So I've noticed already in practicing this new hybrid touching, I should say typing technique, I've noticed that I'm more apt to just grab a typewriter and start typing fast now with it. Because in the past, I was so frustrated with all the little misstrikes that would frustrate. You have to stop your touch typing and either grab a correction tape if it was something important enough to need correcting, or at least you had to back up and strike through the letters that were mistyped or whatever. But now that I can type faster and more accurately with less errors, it really brings the personal typewriter experience a little bit more into the realm of actual writing for me as a practical writing tool. Because for me, I'm a great typewriter fan, but I tend to do a lot of typing for my blogs and or letters, correspondence. And in that kind of situation, I tend to be very precise and neat with my typing on purpose because it's for public consumption, and so I generally would be typing two-fingered. And as a consequence, it's not as efficient to rough draft and kind of compose off the top of your head spontaneously when you're doing two-finger typing. At least for me, it's just a little too slow. I can handwrite with a fountain pen almost at the same speed. But now that I have this new hybrid typing technique, it's really unfolded the possibility of being able to type stream of consciousness at a rapid rate. And that's kind of a revolutionary place for manual typewriters in my life. It makes them much more part of the creative writing process. Okay, so that was part 1 of this video about weird typing. The second part is kind of interesting. I want to start it off by bringing your attention to this old book that I've had for years. I think I bought this in the late 1970s in La Jolla, in a bookshop in La Jolla, California when I was in the Navy. But this is English and American Surrealist Poetry, edited by Edward B. Germain, and it's a collection of surrealist poetry, and I've always liked this book. One of the things about the surrealist poets and the surrealist writers is that they they did a lot of experimental typing and writing with automatic writing or subconscious writing or stream of consciousness kind of writing, where they also had different games, parlor games, where they would take, a group of people would take turns writing one stanza or one line of a poem or a piece. Anyways, a lot of experimentation was done in that regard by the Surrealists. And yesterday, when I was going through and working on this Hermes typewriter, on my workbench here, I have a collection. I have a little setup where I have a pack of typing paper, and I use these scraps of used paper as test sheets for test typing, for testing typewriters. And I will save these sheets and I'll use them as backing sheets when I'm actually typing a piece. I was going through these sheets yesterday because I did a lot of practice typing on this Hermes 3000 when I was working on it, and I started thinking about, maybe I should start saving these test typing sheets and putting them in a notebook, because there's some it is really kind of an interesting stream of consciousness form of writing. You're not writing formally, like you're not sitting down and saying, I'm going to write. But you're writing nonetheless, and your purpose is just to get words down on paper to test the machine. And I was just noticing, for instance, this piece right here, I unfortunately don't have a date on it, but it says, "It's now Friday after returning from vacation. Man, I am excited about converting this machine into a bare-ass naked typer. Woohoo." Well, that's talking about this machine, this Hermes 3000, before I converted it to the naked typewriter. So there's some funny things in these typewriters, typewritten sheets. I noticed this one sheet. I was actually comparing the Smith Corona Galaxy 12 with the electric Smith Corona Coronet Automatic 12 with my Olympia SM9 wide carriage with this Hermes 3000 naked writer. And I say of the Hermes 3000 naked writer, yes, less rattly keys. Yes, shorter keystroke, making it possible to touch type upon. Yes, the best of these three machines, I'd say. Anyways, so I'm thinking that in the category of weird typing, these test typing sheets, I'm going to save them, and I think there might be little gems, little paragraphs, or even sentences or stanzas that will come out later on, and I could use it for something else. I remember one of these that I typed up probably over a year ago, and I was starting out with a quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog, and I started riffing on that theme, and it was like, that damn lazy dog laying around good for nothing, letting the fox jump over him. And it was all just kind of slightly sort of slang, American redneck kind of lingo, but riffing on the whole idea of the quick brown fox. Stream of consciousness, crazy, weird writing. But that's what is fun about these machines when they work good enough and you've discovered a typing technique that works well enough for you to type rapidly, and so that the mechanics of the typing process are second nature and you can let your creative side open up. Well, this is Joe Van Cleve, and this is Weird Typing. Why don't you go out and do some weird typing this week? Have yourself a great day.